Hello and welcome to Training Manager. For the next 12 minutes, we're going to show you how to fill out and submit a flexible schedule timesheet. There's nothing you need to do, just sit back, turn up your speakers, and enjoy the show. There are two types of timesheets on Training Manager. The first is a timesheet for a flexible training schedule. So if you provide telephone training, or maybe you provide private one-on-one instruction where the schedule is more flexible, then your timesheets will probably look like this. If, on the other hand, your training schedule is fixed or offering very little flexibility, then your timesheets will probably look like this. So if your classes normally meet Monday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m., then your timesheets should look like this. If you provide any form of group training, then your training schedule is likely fixed, and your timesheets will look like this as well. The two timesheets have many similar characteristics, but they function in very different ways. As stated earlier, this demo is designed to explain to you the process for filling out flexible schedule timesheets. Nevertheless, we also encourage you to watch our other demos in our series, including the demo for filling out fixed schedule timesheets. They're all on YouTube, and links to those demos were emailed to you as well. As described in the Getting Started demo sent to you by email, we recommend that you print your blank timesheets at the beginning of every month, fill them out by hand throughout the month, that you ask your students to sign them at the end of every month, and that you remit a copy of your paper timesheets to your manager immediately afterwards. This is in addition to filling out and submitting your timesheets online via Training Manager. This process is designed to protect you in the event that you make a mistake entering data in the system. Please note, your school may have specific policies regarding the printing of timesheets and requesting of student signatures. Therefore, we recommend you speak with your manager for further information. Upon logging into your Training Manager account, you're automatically brought to this page, which is a list of all timesheets you need to submit for the end of the month. To open your timesheet, simply click on the timesheet ID number located in the left-hand column of this page. As mentioned earlier, the process for changing your printer's default settings to facilitate printing of timesheets was described in the Getting Started demo. It takes less than a minute to do so. After having made the changes described there, to print your timesheets, simply click on the Print button at the top right of your screen a first time. Allow the page to refresh and click on it a second time. Now simply follow the on-screen instructions. If you're having any trouble printing your document, you may alternatively export your timesheet as a PDF and print it via your Adobe or other PDF software program. To export your timesheet as a PDF, simply click on this icon and follow the on-screen instructions. Now then, before we begin filling out this timesheet, let's review where some of the important data resides. First off, this is where your name will appear. Second, these are your students, and these blank cells represent their attendance this month. Third, these are the total hours of training you provided throughout the month. And finally, at the top here, you'll find your group ID number and any other relevant information. Now let's start filling out this timesheet. It's really very simple. To begin, I click on the hours representing the first day of the month that my first student attended any training. This is the main difference between this flexible schedule timesheet and the fixed schedule timesheet. When you watch the demo for the fixed schedule timesheet, you'll notice that I click on the cell representing the first day that the teacher provided any training. But on this flexible schedule timesheet, I click on the first day that this first student attended any training. That's the difference. Click on the teacher hours, or click on the student hours. Got it? Okay, let's continue. As I click on this cell, this pop-up appears. Now all I do is type the hours of training I provided to this student on this day using the number pad on my keyboard. After doing so, I simply click the Enter or Return key on my keyboard. And I'm done. Now I'll do this again. Click on the next cell. Enter the hours I provided to the student on that day, and press Enter again. One more time now for this first student. Click on the first cell, enter my hours, press Enter. Now I'm going to enter my hours for the next student, but this time I'm going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard instead of using my mouse. So I move to the next cell, click on Enter to open the pop-up, I enter my hours, and I click on Enter again to close the pop-up. Easy enough? Let's do that again. Move to the next cell, press Enter, type in my hours, press Enter again. Now I'll continue doing so, but I'll enter fractions of hours instead of whole hours. So let's move to the next cell. Press Enter, type in my hours, press Enter again. Now move to the next cell. Press enter, type in my hours, press enter again. Notice that I'm using decimal points to show fractions of hours. Notice also that I'm entering 0.25 to show a quarter of an hour and 0.75 to show 3/4 of an hour. Pretty straightforward? Now that I'm done entering my hours, I need to submit my timesheet. To do so, I click on the Submit button at the top of the page. Please note that the Submit button is different from the Save and Close button. In order to submit your timesheet, you must click on Submit. If you click on Save and Close, you have not submitted the timesheet. You've only saved it. So let's click on Submit and OK. And that's it. Please note that the submit process could take a few seconds to complete. In the interim, allow me to highlight the importance of submitting your timesheets on time every month. Your timesheets are due immediately after the last class you teach every month. At the latest, they're due on the 31st of the month at 7 p.m. This is because your manager needs the time to review and approve the timesheet, and the accounting department must also review and approve the data. Therefore, please submit your timesheets immediately after your last class of the month, or at the latest the 31st of the month at 7 p.m. Now then, as you can see, now that I've submitted my timesheet for March, the system automatically generated a new timesheet for that same group for the month of April. In theory, you should open that timesheet now, print it out, and start your new month. I, however, am going to go on and submit another timesheet for March. I'm going to open this timesheet from my list. The fact that the row is highlighted in blue means that my name was originally added as a teacher to the group, but then it was removed for some reason. This is usually what happens if you were a substitute teacher in the group. Now that my timesheet is open, I notice that I don't recognize any of the students' names. And I'm positive that I never provided any training to these students this month. So it's pretty simple. All I do is select NA from this list, click on the Did Not Teach link at the top right here. I click OK, and I'm done. Again, please remember to submit your timesheets immediately after your last class of the month or at the latest the 31st of the month at 7 p.m. If you're late with your timesheets, your manager is likely going to be late with invoicing and payroll. If you're a substitute teacher in the group, or if your timesheet was blue as this one was, then you may want to wait until the last week of the month before submitting your timesheet, just in case you're called to be a substitute in the class another time. Nevertheless, in all cases, your timesheet should be submitted at the latest, the 31st of the month at 7 p.m. Back to our list of timesheets now. Notice how the system did not create a third timesheet for me. I've only got 2 in my list now, whereas before I had 3. This is because I was a substitute in that last group last month, but not this next month, so I don't need a third timesheet. I've got one more timesheet to fill out now, so let's do it together. I click on the link to open the timesheet. I click on the first cell representing the first day that my student received any training. I enter the hours. I press enter. Now I'll click on the next cell. Enter my hours. Press enter. I'm going to keep doing this for a while so you can get the gist of what I'm doing. Notice that sometimes I use my mouse to go to the next cell, and that other times I use the arrow keys on my keyboard. Notice that sometimes I enter whole hours, and other times I enter fractions represented as 0.25, 0.50, or 0.75, and so on and so forth. As I'm doing this, you'll likely understand why we call this timesheet a flexible schedule timesheet. It's because all of your students' schedules are flexible. Each of your students are in private training with you, and each of their schedules are flexible to a certain degree. And there we go. Now please take note of this last entry I'm going to make for this last student. It just so happens that this student was absent on this day, but he did not provide me with sufficient notice of his intent to be absent. My agreement with this student is that if he does not provide me with sufficient notice, then I'm allowed to charge him for my time. So I click on the day, enter my hours, and press enter. If ever a situation like that occurs, you should explain it by adding a comment on your timesheet. Essentially, you should add comments to your timesheets to explain all situations which are not obvious by reading the data on the timesheet. If you do so, we recommend keeping them as short as possible. So to add a comment to the timesheet, I click on the little plus symbol at the bottom left here. Type my comment, and click OK. Notice how I start my comment with a date. Please try to do so every time. Also, notice how I referred to my student by his student number instead of his name. This is to protect his confidentiality. Now let's do that again. This time I want to explain why I did not provide training to this student on Monday the 18th. So again, click on the plus symbol. Type my comment. And click OK. Simple enough? Finally, let's add a third comment to explain that we took a day off to see a doctor. Click on the plus symbol, type the comment, and click OK. Now, if you ever make a mistake in your comment, you can always click on the little pencil here, edit your comment, and click OK. See how easy that was? You can also delete your comment entirely by clicking on this icon. Now that I'm done, I simply click on Submit and OK. Please remember to submit your timesheets immediately after your last class of the month, or at the latest, the 31st of the month at 7 p.m. This marks the end of our demo for filling out flexible schedule timesheets. If any part of this demo was unclear, please watch it again or give us a call and we'd be happy to step you through your first timesheet. Finally, allow us to remind you that a second demo explaining the process for filling out fixed schedule timesheets is also available, and that we recommend you watch it as soon as possible. On behalf of your school and training manager, we welcome you to our team and look forward to working with you.